So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that both of them are eyes. They're both signs, but they're different types of signs. Mary's sign is a karama from what came from her. She was a saintly woman. She was called a siddiqa in the Quran, a saintly woman. And Isa alayhi salam, of course, had mu'jiza. He was a prophet, a messenger with miraculous signs and wonders. Now someone could say, well, that is just for people, again, that are related to the prophets or have some connection to the prophets. That's not like people today or normal people. But I would say that there are plenty of examples of average, everyday people who were not prophets who had these signs. I'll give you an example. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said about Umar, indeed, I am looking at the demons and the jinn. I am looking at the demons from the jinn and men, and they are fleeing from Umar. Now this is collected from Imams al-Tirmidhi, Suyuti, and Yusuf al-Nabahani, and is classified as Sahih. So here, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is explaining that because of the fear of Allah, the love of Allah, his dedication to Allah, that the actual demons, the evil forces from men and jinn are fleeing from Allah. They're fleeing from him because of his love and his dedication. Omar, there's no doubt that we class Omar as one of the walis. We class Abu Bakr as one of the walis. We class Uthman as one of the walis. We class Ali as one of the walis. They are awliya, they are the friends of Allah, because they manifested, their creed was authentic, and their actions were authentic, and their outward piety was authentic and was established, and it was a foundational principle where we knew that they were saints of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now what I want to do in closing this is to say this. In our modern times, there are many in our midst who are claiming, either for themselves or are claiming to be friends of Allah or walis of Allah. There are many. And what we need to do is to check them with the book and the sunnah. Do not let yourselves be taken advantage of. We come into the presence of someone, they say that they're a friend of Allah, and we don't see any signs of worship in them. They don't pray. They have no beard. We don't see any signs of Islam in them. And this person is held to be a wali, or a sheikh, or maulana, or a pir, or any of these things. We can't do that. Someone manifests a sign, or let's say they do have a massive beard, big hat, sparkling white clothes, bleached white. And they tell us, and they manifest some sign to us, and say, you don't have to pray anymore. You've reached the level. And I'm telling you this because this has happened. You don't have to pray anymore. You've reached that level. But in order for me to fully purify you, you have to pledge your family to me, your children to me, your wife to me, your life to me. And people have gotten caught in and linked in with people where there have been charges of there have been adultery involved, there's been molestation of children involved, all these types of things. But I'll tell you how we can avoid that. Because the Orthodox Muslim, it says, Al-Mu'minu kayyisul fatin. The believer is a smart and cautious thinker. The believer is a smart and cautious thinker. And the hadith says, Al-Mu'minu ghir. The believer is innocent. It doesn't say Al-Mu'minu ghar. The believer is deceived. The believer is innocent. Now he's innocent, but he's cautious, careful, and tender. So whenever we see any manifestation, let's take an example. Ghulam Ahmed al-Qadiani. He comes from the Punjab, big beautiful hat, nice sunnah clothes, and a beard. For all intents and purposes, he appears as an upright Muslim. And he's manifesting signs. I am a reformer. I am a mujaddid. He's manifesting signs. Okay. So what do we do? Well, first thing we check, is his theology valid? How is his creed? What does he say of the creeds? Well, he says he's another prophet like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Ding! Light bulb should be coming on. Kufr alert. we should be thinking. Well, what else does he say? He says that there is no Mahdi, and that Isa alayhi salam is dead, and that he's actually the second coming of Isa and the Mahdi. Ding! Second kufr alert. Second one. Because you should be thinking, how is that possible? Outward piety. Outward piety. So first, the actual creed has problems. Then there's the issue of his outward piety, which is suspect. And there are signs that Allah is manifesting to you that he is a false prophet. For example, in his youth, when he first starts preaching that he's a prophet, Allah withers his hand. Allah withers this man's hand. This is a sign that obviously this man is under judgment. A damaged eye, walking with a bit of a limp with the aid of a cane. This sounds more like a false Messiah than a true one. He sounds more like the Dajjal than the actual Messiah. These should be signs that are getting our attention. Now, in our modern context, for some reason, I don't know, we don't think that when people in our community or in other communities take advantage of people. We think, oh no, he's the Sheikh. No. There is no one on the face of the earth that is above the law. Keep this ayah in context. It's in Surah Al-Jatiyah. وَجَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ. We have put you on the sharia from the order from before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we've been put on the sharia from before. No one is above the law. No one. And so when you start hearing people coming with all these new things, you take them into the courtroom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and introduce to them Exhibit A. And you test them under Exhibit A, under the microscope of book. Then you take Sunnah, examine them again, cross-examine them with verses. I understand you said this. Is it true, however, that Allah has said in His book this and this? You cross-examine them with the book of Allah. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to have sound principles of hermeneutics, which we've already gone over. So I expect and I hope that everyone in this class is going to have their eyes open. It's going to be focused. It's going to be looking. It's going to be examining the environment around them and testing everything that comes by this book and this sunnah. I don't care who they are. They have to fall within the rubric of the law. They must. No one is above the law. No one is above the court of Allah. Now, as a final point, are there any questions over anything that I've gone over? Or maybe there's something that wasn't clear in our minds, or maybe I went a little bit fast. I apologize for that. I try to go as slow as possible. Is there anything that needs elaboration, or that needs to be further examined? Or is everything crystal clear? Yes?
Is there any mention in the Bible?
There are texts that you could take that could say that. But I'll tell you this. Be really careful about what exactly you take from the Bible and what you don't. The best thing to do is to depend on those who originally were Christians or Jews in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then they left that religion and explained what all the Jews were hiding. So for example, the rabbis Wahab ibn al-Munabbih, Abdullah bin Salam, and Ka'b ibn al-Ahbar, they quoted passages from Isaiah, Jeremiah, the Song of Songs, and said these are referring to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We hid them for over 3,000 years, but these are referring to them. Rather than going through ourselves and trying to dig them out, because the time it will take us to sit and study to find out which ones are which, we could be studying the Quran and memorizing that and using that. And then what will happen is a Christian will say, if you don't believe in our book, why are you delving into it so much and studying it so much? Our job is not to become pastors or vicars or bishops or vicars. Our job is to take what we can, and what has been left over from those people that have left that religion. They have given us ample evidences and proofs that there are examples of this in the New Testament and the Old Testament. But we don't have to dig for it.